So being with me in the studio now is an environmentalist, John Ikoko. It's nice to have you join me.
Thank you, Mike.
Good morning.
It's my pleasure.
Great.
Good morning, Lagos.
Right.
Good morning, Nigeria.
And on Skype is environmental activist Hamzat Lawal. Hamzat, good morning.
Good morning, and great to join you.
Great to see you. All right, now, John, let me start with you in the studio. The rains are here, like we were just discussing, off camera. And this morning, the downpour has been something else. But basically, the scare sometimes is when the rains come, rather than bring, that happy feeling of, oh yeah, it's raining and all of that, there is this scare of the concerns of flooding, which in some places, especially in Lagos, it's terrible the way it goes. Talk to us basically. We have been talking about the environment over the years. Are we taking any steps towards mitigating the extremities of the impact of climate change and so on?
Yeah, Mike, thank you very much. The rains are a blessing in themselves. Nobody can deny that. However, the impact of the rain and the consequence of the rains are things that people can do something about. You said it, we've been talking about the environment for some years now. But the question is, what impact has it made in the habits of people? It is sad to know that up till now, a lot of waste is still being dropped, in public square. It's sad to know that our drains are not flowing as they ought to flow. It is sad to note that people are still building in lowland areas and blocking water paths. It is sad to note that people still feel that you can commit havoc on the environment and somebody else will save it for you. That is the greatest danger. What about the pollution from our industries? Yes, some steps are being taken, but the truth remains. You cannot, wish away the impact that our manufacturing businesses have negatively, not positively. We have all the regulatory bodies there, but I can confess to you, their impact has not been that felt. Check Lagos, check the studies. You will see it. So when you put all of this together, when the rains are coming, you have cause to be afraid. Even this dwelling, the way we still cramp ourselves, my God.
Yeah. All right, let me bring in Hamzat Lawal in here at this point. Hamzat, tomorrow is World Environment Day, and it is also an opportunity to draw attention to some of the everyday habits, like John Ikoko talked about the issue of habits. Now, talk to us basically, what are the number one factors that threaten the environment from the standpoint where we are right now?
Thank you. One of the standpoints that affects our environment is our lifestyle, where everyone is not committing. Because again, as much as we expect more from government, it must always start from you and I. Do we dispose our waste properly? Do we recycle? How do we continue to reduce the use of water or use it effectively or efficiently? So it's our lifestyle in general that is making our planet Earth go hotter. And when you look at what the global North have done in terms of emission, we from the global South, we've not emitted as much as they have. But then again, when you look at how are we regulating gas flaring, if you go to the south today, particularly Port Harcourt, even in Port Harcourt City, you would see that the oil exploration, they're still flaring gas. Today, deserts are being encroached due to the effect of climate change. We'll lose forest cover annually. But, there's also hope, because the president during the last Executive Council meeting have approved the National Determined Contribution, the revised National Determined Contribution, and this was part of the outcome of the Paris Accord. And as we discuss restoration, it's important to bring forward one of Nigeria's agenda around it, which is the Great Green Wall Initiative, because this has to do with 11 frontline states. This has to do with revitalizing the ecosystem and even helping Lake Chad to go back to where it was 10, 15 years ago. Because when you go to Lake Chad 10 years ago, there's a lot of economic activity. You have women selling fish, you have young people who are craftsmen, you have fishermen. But today, when you go to Lake Chad, it is a deserted area. This is a place where probably you even get attacked by the insurgency due to the effect of climate change. So in restoring our environment, we need to change our lifestyle and reduce the pressure that we're putting on Mother Earth. Everything we get, from clothing, from food, everything comes from the environment. And when we talk about this restoration, government must also lead the Great Green Wall Initiative, gives them the needed resources and citizens to hold them to account. Beyond planting trees, I think we need to now start growing trees, because if you say you're planting trees, it means you just dig a hole, put a seed or just put a plant, and then you go away. But when you grow them, it means you're also connecting to those trees. And for me, one initiative is, let's name all these trees we're growing. Let's give them our own personal name, because we like ourselves, we like to take care of ourselves and our loved ones. Give these trees we're growing names and have a connection with them, so that, periodically you go and check on the tree. You treat the tree like a human being, because this tree, one, will serve as shockers when we have a downpour, when we have excessive rainfall. It will help us deal with gully erosion. It will help stop this rain from washing our homes and property. So I believe there's a lot for us to do as citizens, but also there's a lot for government to do beyond just policy and regulation. They need to also put in place that political will and resources needed by agencies like the Great Green Wall Initiative. But it's an exciting time. We have a minister that is committed, and talking about Madam Sharon, there's a Minister for State for Environment who understands the issue. But I'm glad that today also we're discussing it, because beyond just the World Environment Day, we must also continue to see environment as a center point of our life. Because yes, climate change is not a topic that people want to talk about, because there's a lot of jargons. And today I tried to just use the simple vocabulary so that the audience will understand. But for us, we need to take our environment more seriously than any other sector, because this is one sector that brings other sectors together.
All right, that's really apt there. John, he talked about the issue of tree planting. We know there was the Great Green Wall Initiative at the time. And how critical is the issue of tree planting to the safety and the health of the environment? We have been talking about the forests that are depleting by the years due to tree felling and so on. But how critical is the issue of tree planting now?
Yeah, thank you. Lawal actually covered a lot of grounds in his comments. But this is the way I approach it. Human activities have caused a lot of damage, not only to forests, to farmlands also, right? And it has severely impacted our habitation, whether from the desert point or from the flooding point. So there is a need to focus on restoration. Now, the role of tree planting, like he says, it should go beyond tree planting to tree growing. Now, the way I understand it is that you don't just put a seed or a stalk on the ground. You need to actually know which type of seed, which type of stalk will do best in which environment.
Okay.
There's a fantastic project going on in China where a family chose a particular type of seed and stalk, one to plant in their habitation there, in their area there, about 4 hectares. Are you with me? And there's a way that they prune it and do what? Replicate it. Now, the thing has done so well both to stop the encroachment of the desert because of the wind that blows from the north. And at the same time, it has been used to plug the flooding from the southern parts. In fact, the family is now being made a national example. People go to them to learn how to use trees to actually rebuild the environment where you are. You find out that they grow, the place has become a normal agricultural land now, where they grow a lot of things and they are extending from where they are. Now that is for tree planting. In repairing the ecosystem or in restoring the ecosystem, which is the focus this year, there's a need for what I want to call a breakthrough thinking. What do I mean? Somewhere in India, there's a smart window concept. It has been discovered that buildings consume about 36% of the energy use and contribute about 39% of the energy-related carbon emission. In other words, a lot of energy is being used by buildings which contributes to carbon emission that can be avoided. Some two researchers came up with the concept of smart window, whereby you don't need AC anymore, air conditioner. The windows themselves are smart. They regulate the temperature, regulate the light, regulate the heat, regulate the cooling. Hello.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Really interesting.
Yes.
Really interesting.
Yes. And it's gaining ground.
Wow.
You know, smart window concept. Now, let me pick another example. In the sea, you find out that because of human activities, the damage it has caused, the flooding has increased, right? Tsunami, erosion, and everything. And one thing it has done, it has destroyed a lot of the coral reefs. These reefs used to serve as breakers. And they also serve as what? Habitat for a lot of marine organisms.
Marine life.
There was a researcher in the Caribbean area who went to, you know, the coastal area, swam in, saw a lot of marine life. She said she felt she was in a community, a full community. But after the Emma hurricane of 2017, when she went there, the reefs were gone. All the marine life were dead.
That's really heartbreaking.
You know, now she's starting a project.
To revive the reefs.
Yes.
Okay, that's really
right. She called it One Shot Project. Now she's trying to encourage the world. Build the reefs. When you build the reef, you bring back this marine life.
Exactly.
And it gives employment to a lot, I mean, vocation, jobs to a lot of people.
Even keeps reviving the environment.
It also has to break the sea storm.
Okay.
Right? So that when they are coming, before they hit the land, it will serve as a breaker.
It reduces the
Thirdly,
speed.
it also helps people to build their houses close to the coast.
Okay.
Because the risk of storm and flood and all that is reduced. You see? So there's a lot that can, in this era of what? Restoring the ecosystem. We need creative thinking.
Okay.
Okay.
There's so much to talk about, but let me give this time to, as we wind down the discussion. Hamzat, talking about innovation, talking about creativity, our floods in Nigeria has been with us for so many years. Our desert encroachment has been with us for so many years. What new? What are the new things we should be thinking about as a way of doing things differently?
I think data should inform how we do things differently. So how are we collecting data, and how are these data informing our decision as citizens and policymakers? I know NIMET always chunk out data around weather reports, and sometimes NIMET will go further to tell you that some of the states they're prone to either flooding, and government is meant to bring a preparedness plan. But I think that, in talking about innovation now, we know that over 40% of our population are only the ones connected to the national grid. How we also engage in using off-grid technology, because you must also deal with power when you're dealing with environmental restoration. Yes, we have solar, we have wind, but we need to also rethink this energy mix policy. Because if you're saying as a government, you're bringing energy mix, what this also means is you're investing in coal, and we know that coal emits. And over time, this would also impact livelihood and the environment. I've gone to some European countries where, after they use coal over time, these villages, people there now have kidney failure and they're dealing with cancer. But beyond that, they have this mysterious environmental disaster that even scientists have not been able to unravel it. So I believe that, innovatively, we need to invest more in cleaner energy and cleaner technology that would help grassroots communities, and let's heavily depend on local knowledge and local content. And I like what my brother in the studio talked about, understanding the trees that has to be planted, because you can't plant the same trees, in the north and then the same in the south. I know Jatropha tree is one tree that really helps provide medicine. The seed you can sell in the market, and it also holds restoration of the ground in the north. So I believe that we need more researchers to deep collect more data and inform decisions around innovation.
Okay, thank you very much, Hamzat Lawal. The issue of patronizing local knowledge, I take that, and it's really apt at this time. Thank you very much for talking to us, Hamzat. Thank you. And Johnny Coco, thank you very much for coming as well on the program.
Thank you, Mike.
And happy World Environment Day tomorrow.
Thank you.
Great.